Okay, so again, my name is Dr. Tappert. I'm here to oppose this medical and government overreach. I want to start by stating that no emergency or threat of any kind on this planet supersedes our inalienable rights of the Constitution, and that includes a virus. These regulations are rooted and motivated by fear and propaganda. Roosevelt stated the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. In other words, fear is the virus. And my freedoms don't end where your fear begins. Mark Twain stated, "It ain't what you don't know that gets you into trouble. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so." You claim you're listening to the science. Well, science is listening through the lenses of observation. We can observe. What can we observe when looking at COVID-19? I have observed the majority of people that tested positive were asymptomatic. The few that were symptomatic presented no differently than the flu. I have observed with a broken heart our most vulnerable being trapped like prisoners in these nursing homes. While they protest, they'd rather die of COVID-19 than of loneliness. I have yet to observe the truth in what these regulations are based upon. I mentioned earlier the Great Barrington Declaration was mentioned. 581,000 concerned citizens, 11,000 medical and public health scientists, and 32,000 physicians believe these lockdowns and restrictions cause more harm than good. At what point do we abandon the so-called experts' advice and listen to the other experts in opposition? I have a graph here from the Johns Hopkins University that stated these are the Sweden deaths. They had no restrictions, no lockdowns, and they didn't wear masks. Okay, look at the deaths. This gentleman presented earlier with another graph. Why is there conflicting information being out there? I found this graph from the health director of Sweden himself. The daily death rate was declining, no restrictions. What does that tell you? That raises the question, why is there censorship? I see this problem, and I've experienced it firsthand, this act of censorship. It's real, and it's happening to me and thousands of others that are screaming at the rooftops. George Martin stated, when you cut out a man's tongue, you don't prove him a liar. You're only telling the world that you fear what he might say. When will it occur to people that all of these regulations and mandates are in fact a direct violation of our First Amendment of the Constitution? Need I remind you of the 5 freedoms in the First Amendment? On a personal note, and in my opinion, the most important is the freedom of religion. Earlier this year, the state deemed that churches were not essential and were not allowed to join together and take communion on Easter, the most sacred day of the year. In my faith, I believe the Holy Bible to be true. It states, "Do not fear," over 365 times. I believe it was Jesus who was in violation of the social distancing laws when he laid his hands on and healed those with leprosy. I believe in Psalms 103, he forgives all your sins and heals all diseases. Or Psalms 91, if you make the Lord your refuge or your shelter, no plague will come near your home. I can't help but think of how Peter took his eyes off Christ and cowered to the wind and waves. You see, the church, this country, and the role of patriotism are like a great ship being pounded by waves of tyranny and evil. Our duty is not to abandon ship, but to keep her on course. Smooth seas never made for skillful sailors, and we must not fear adversity because it is only through it we grow stronger. The immune system is no different. We must give the body what it needs and it can be well. I have studies that talk about 90% of the elderly are the ones that are dying, and the underlying factor is vitamin D3 deficiency. I was taught that we need to move away from toxicity and deficiency into purity and sufficiency. We do that by giving the body what it needs in supplementation and eat right, move right, think right. You see, our body is not deficient of a corona vaccine, nor can a mask do anything to make our body healthier. Cowering to this fear or hiding from this disease is taking the route of fools. In the face of adversity, taking the easy route is what makes rivers and men crooked.